Hello, welcome to Skull RPG Podcast. My name's Dwight Skull.
My name's Jacob Skull.
And today we're going to teach you how to tell your story.
So this is another one-off. This one is kind of a fun one. So this one works really well in D&D, but you could adapt it to almost any other one with some slight tweaking. So in this one you have kind of like a dungeon tourist town where the dungeon is keeping everybody afloat, and it's like a renowned dungeon. So your players go to that.
And then let's talk about that for 1 second.
Yes.
So the concept around this is that some towns would make a lot of money selling picks to miners or dungeon gear to adventurers. And the concept around this is this nasty one of some towns would be really, really heavily reliant on their Tomb of Horrors type of craziness outside their town. So the question is, if they saw a party of adventurers just walking through this really quickly, would they not then maybe potentially try to kill them in their sleep when they come back to town, or screw them out of goods, or tell them they can't help them anymore in a way like, I don't have any more money for you to sell your goods at, you need to go somewhere else, with the hope of basically being able to go back in, reset up the traps, and potentially, they need to keep the tourist traction going, right? So it's the same thing. Like if you could walk through Disneyland and every time you finished a ride it was broken forever, wouldn't the Disneyland owners do everything they could to make sure that you never came back into town? So that's what we would call a dungeon tourist trap town.
Yes.
So anyway, no, sorry, go ahead. I just wanted them to understand what that is.
Makes sense. Yeah. So after you get there, you start to notice everybody at that town is a little off. Like there's just something off about how they're interacting with you. So as you start to go into the dungeon, you eventually find that there's a group or one Mindflayer-esque type thing down there that is basically just thralled the whole entire town.
So a Mindflayer, if you're not familiar, is a D&D monster, both in everything. At least 3 and up. And they have the ability to create thralls. They have the ability to basically dominate person. And they end up selling people eventually into slavery, or they will also eat their brains and all sorts of nastiness. Mindflayers are just evil things. They're also, they're also lawful evil, but they really put the evil in lawful evil.
Yes, they do.
Crazy. So a group of a Mind Flayer slaving party, or if your party's not big enough for something like that, just even one Mind Flayer is just a sight to behold. And anyway, so what happens with this Mind Flayer?
So eventually, your players will kill the Mind Flayer, or the group. So then, what's the ramifications of all these people that just got killed? The enthrallment's gone, so they're no longer enthralled. One of the things that you could do with it, which would be a fun thing, is the enthrallment creates kind of like a Stockholm syndrome in all of them.
Back to consequences.
So now you have a whole entire town that actually is angry at the players for killing their enslaver. So now you could have, as they go through other towns, you have, oh hey, as you're drinking at the bar, you have your barbarian make a fort save. Why? Well, because you have members from that town who are following you and trying to assassinate the players.
Yes.
But how would a level 1 commoner assassinate a level 10 to 20 character? You're going to talk poison. You're going to talk stabbing them in the night. You're going to talk about a lot of ambush tactics. But instead of only one one thing, they basically pissed off a whole entire town of 100 to 1,000 people.
Right, so this could be
their whole entire livelihood now is to try to kill the players.
Right, they have nothing else to lose as far as they're concerned. Until maybe they snap out of it in 3 to 6 months or something along those lines,
Yeah, so now you have a one-off, has long-term ramifications that the players aren't sure why.
Yeah, and you can just go grab almost any kind of natural depth cavern that could have some sort of, at the very end, has some sort of spell to go to a different dimension, or the person itself, one of those mind flayers could cast that easily. And so what you have is kind of the mind flayers have enthralled the town, and they're making a name. The adventurers, there's making a name for adventurers to come, because the mind flayer is content not taking the level 1 commoners, because it can take these level 5, 6, 7, 8 level adventurers and sell them for a lot more money in the slaver markets in their own little dimensional groups. Because obviously, would you rather have a 6 hit point commoner or an 80 hit point barbarian that can do, got a 16 strength and can move a bunch of crap for you?
Who's better? Or would you rather have that wizard that knows mage hand to do stuff for you?
Yeah, exactly. And you can enthrall them too and dominate them forever. So it's a nasty little concept, and one that I really enjoy of this whole town is like working, unbeknownst to them, but working, for a mind flayer or a group of mind flayers, and it's basically like the mind flayer's business. The other unintended consequences, once they shut down that one mind flayer, like, is there a family of mind flayers or a group of mind flayers that were all dependent on this trade? And so since you shut it down on this point, you haven't shut down the market on the other point. And so now maybe there's like 7 or 8 mind flayers that are also looking to assassinate the players because of what they did in that one town.
Mm-hmm.
Or do they, in 3 to 6 months, does it matter? Do they open up shop again? They come back through, re-enthrall the people, and then all of a sudden, maybe 3 to 6 months later, after everything's said and done, like there's no more attacks on you guys. But then maybe like the DM just mentions that somebody's going to oh yeah, I'm going to be going to the tomb of whatever because I heard there's some really cool stuff there. And you're like, yeah, we cleared that out. And they're like, oh no, you must be lying because I just heard about this yesterday. And it they said that anybody that says they cleared it out is a liar. And you realize, oh crap, they set up shop again. And do you go back, or do you just like, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm just going to leave it.
And especially because if your players started to really put pieces together because you could hint at this, the townsfolk have been trying to follow you and assassinate you. And then once you hear that, you're like, that explains why you haven't had assassination attempts recently, because they rethought the town.
Yeah, exactly.
Do we want to go back and have assassinations on our back again?
Exactly. Like no good deed goes unpunished. It's just what you want to do with your life. I like the concept. It's a fun one. If you guys play it, you should let us know. Anyway, you guys have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, thanks for listening.
And for more resources, please go to skullrpg.com.